Hello and welcome to Indian Folk. In this video today, I shall analyze the 70 years of communist rule in China. The context for this discussion, for this analysis is basically that on the 1st of October 2019, China celebrates 70 years of communist rule in China, which began on the 1st of October 1949. Now, in this analysis, I shall structure the discussion on certain parameters. So firstly, to begin with, I will talk about the history and when these celebrations exactly began and what is precisely this element that China celebrates on the 1st of October. The second will be a brief discussion of the activities and how China has undergone several changes across the decades till 2019. The third will be about the contemporary scenario in China and how it is embroiled in certain conflicts, certain symbolic and ideological conflicts with, say, Hong Kong or India and other countries in the region. Now, to begin with, what exactly is on the 1st of October 2019? China celebrates its National Day annually on the 1st of October, which is basically a celebration which began in 1949 when the People's Republic of China was established. It was basically an end or towards the end of the civil war in China in 1949 and the victory of Mao Zedong's communist forces in the country, which led to the establishment of the Communist Party of China and its rule and its consolidation in the governmental authority, and also in turn the establishment of the People's Republic of China. What this basically meant was an ideological victory for communism in the world, particularly given the context of the Cold War, when the world was divided into the communist wing and the liberal democratic wing, and there was an ideological rift and ideological competition and contradiction. And it is precisely at that juncture that China consolidated and implemented communism as almost one of the very first models in the world apart from Russia. Now, we also need to understand that these celebrations occur every year, and what happens is an entire week of celebrations, which is also called the Golden Week in China, which involves the organization of various festivities, fireworks, various events by the Chinese government, which also includes a very grand military parade, which is conducted on the 1st of October for all the citizens to witness and all the citizens to indulge in the gala activities. It is, as I've already mentioned, a holiday for almost a week in which there is celebration of the communist ideology, as China remains the only country in the world today which has successfully implemented communism on such a grand scale, and while retaining the communist values, it has also engaged itself in a certain establishment of prominence on the world platform. Now, talking about the progress that China has witnessed across the decades, we also see that China today has consolidated its power on the global platform and competes with countries like the USA, with Russia, with several other countries like France, UK, Canada and Germany to almost compete for global leadership and almost global hegemony. We see that there is a cutthroat competition between USA and China, and this is precisely remarkable given the fact that China is almost one of the only countries which still follows communism. We also need to understand the kind of political system that operates in China. We see that there is an absolute hegemony of the Communist Party of China, and a recent constitutional amendment which was made in 2018 also was a very remarkable constitutional amendment, almost about 14 years after the last one. And this constitutional amendment made a remarkable and a fundamental change in the structure of the political system in China, which basically resulted in the consolidation of power for President Xi Jinping, who now has become the president and also is the ruler of the military, is also the ruler or also is the leader of the Communist Party of India and China. And this omnipotency, this omnipower structure authority is for his to remain until he dies, which is a lifetime tenure for the president. This again tells us about how the nature of the Chinese system has been working. It calls itself a people's democratic dictatorship. However, the world has been speculating on the kind of dictatorial elements which have an upper hand as compared to the democratic elements in this democratic centralistic sort of a structure that pervades in China. Today, as we discuss how China is celebrating 70 years of successful communist rule, we also need to understand the contradictions that are happening, that are taking place right at this moment. Hong Kong, which is sort of a rather autonomous part which exists within the Chinese mainland domain, has been protesting since June 2019. It has been protesting against the Chinese mainland's interference and interjections in the operations of this rather autonomous place that Hong Kong is. It also tries to contradict and impose its democratic, its communist ideologies and its political framework on Hong Kong, which associates itself more with the former British colonial ideologies of, say, liberalism, of freedom of press and freedom of expression, etc. It is precisely this element which has led the Hong Kong citizens to protest against the Chinese government for about 3 to 4 months now. This is precisely why the celebrations become all the more conjectured and why there is more speculations, because there is, on the one hand, in India there are certain allegations from across the world with regard to Chinese interventionist policies in Taiwan and Hong Kong, and it is in this context that China celebrates the success of the communist regime operating in the country. If you want to know more on this, please follow some of our live sessions and other discussions, other videos on similar topics. Thank you.